I'm going to keep moving on through the ecosystem and talk about business network. This is something that's very new, and I want to go through some of the nuances because they're not exactly obvious. There's some cool things about the business network that I do want to share. One of them is the nuance is that it's B2B. So for right now, ProAdvisors are not part of this business network. You might see, if you go and you search the database, you might see your firm, but I'm going to say I have not seen very many accounting firms that are in there. And so it leads me to believe the accounting firms that are in there are not also ProAdvisors. So you can go in and you can search the database, but for right now, this feature is for business to business. What you're able to do is you're able to come over into the business network, and it's a pool of QuickBooks Online companies that have agreed to be part of the network, so that way they can have direct connections. So once you have a connection, you're going to be able to see all of the updated information. I'm going to take you through some of the setup pieces and then also how you can use it for invoicing and bills. It's kind of cool, but the place to begin is by going over into one of the QuickBooks files. So if you, I'm going to be going through two different demo files here that I'm going to show you, so that way you can see both sides of it. But if you're on the side where you're first adding a vendor or you're adding a customer, the way that you're going to be able to see the business network is by adding that new vendor or customer. So you can start to type in the name, and then you're going to see a list that's created. The first time I saw this, it made me think of, back whenever we were importing all of our contacts, our email contacts through Gmail, and then we were able to see all of our Gmail contacts. It feels very similar to being able to search this list, but instead of it being because you've connected an account, this is because all of these businesses opted into being part of the business network. You can see there's masked information here. So until you have a connection, you're not actually able to see the credentials here. So if you're wanting to find a phone number, you first need to have that business connection. The way that the connection information is loaded is when you're inside of your QuickBooks Online and you go to your account and settings and you put in your mailing address, your phone number, email address. Those are the pieces of information that it's pulling from. So anytime that those areas are updated, new website, so you update it, new phone number, anytime those things are updated, because they're linked via this business network, automatically that updated information is synced over into the vendors or customers that you're connected with through the business network. So that's kind of a cool thing to have. So let's go through some of these slides, and I'm going to show you it live. But this little QB icon, this little link up there that you can see in green, that's how you know that you've got a connection. So when there's a connection there, that means that you're linked together, and so you've got the little QB icon. And you can see I'm in two different QuickBooks files here. One, I'm in the original place where the link was requested, and then I'm in the other QuickBooks file where I can see that I've got a connection here. So both in this case is one of these businesses is called Rock Castle and the other one's called Trinkets Galore. And so in this case, both of them have accepted to be part of the business network. So their information is being shared back and forth. So they are linked. The thing that's also cool about being linked is that you can import your bills. So if I've got a customer and I am creating an invoice and we're linked, as soon as I create that invoice, it's going to link over to that business connection, and I'm going to be able to see that invoice as a bill. So it will import. And then I can go through and I can look at that imported bill and I can code it as necessary. And then I can go through the bill payment screen. I'm going to go ahead and show you this inside of QuickBooks so that way you kind of get a feel for it. I kind of had to go through it a couple of times so I could get my head wrapped around it. How did the invite get sent out? How do I access it? There's not a portal. So that's, one of the things that you kind of have to play around with is the only way to access the business network is through creating a customer or vendor in a QuickBooks file that has this functionality. So although it is live, it has not been rolled out to all areas. So the first one that I'm going to take you through is, it looks like I might be signed out of this file. So let's see, I'm just going to take you through the one that we're not signed out of. So I'm inside of Rock Castle Construction. And what has happened here is I've got a QuickBooks file that has accepted the invite. So if I come over and I look at my connections, I can see that I've got a connection and an invite has been sent. And then the way that I'm able to view these bills is to come over into these review bills. I am going to go ahead and show you how to do it because I think that it's more beneficial to take you live into the scenario where this is in play. So give me just a second. And while I'm logging in to this other QuickBooks file, Murph, do we have any questions that I can answer while I'm here?
Not really.
Not really. Okay. So I'm not being saved by Q&A. Okay. All right. Almost in. So I'm curious though, how many people have seen this functionality? Because it's not something yet that's live to the ProAdvisor community.
Keith mentioned that he managed to get into it by virtue of listing himself as a vendor. And then he got into the network that way.
Okay.
And and now I see that we have some people responding saying, I've seen it and want to disable it. And here's somebody else that says, I've seen it, but not found a use for it yet, etc. I'll comment that I asked Intuit, the CEO, about this at the very first QuickBooks Connect. I said, y'all are going to ultimately have all these people connected. And when are you going to be able to just directly send bills back and forth and pay people directly back and forth? And the answer was, I think we're working on that. And then the next year, I asked again about it. And they said, well, we are working on that. And I'm glad to see that finally we've gotten to the point that at least we can do part of it. And they say soon they will be to that point of being able to pay directly. And it won't necessarily go through your bank. You'll be able to have a QuickBooks account to QuickBooks account. And as I understand it, one of the options may be that it'll work directly like barter. And so, I think ultimately this has a world of wealth opportunities to it, but it definitely is something that's the wave of the future. And
I agree with you. I mean, it feels like it's not all the way there yet. It does have that sensation of, I want to be able to be connected with my clients. I want them to be able to, I want to be able to search me. So Keith, it sounds like you found a workaround, but I think that ultimately, and I was able to meet with the team to talk about, hey, my QBOA experience is very different than my client experience. And so I did get a chance to share with them some of my feedback and thoughts, and they definitely are interested. They want to know how we're using it or how we want to be able to use it. you know, earlier I was sharing where the information is coming from, and that's in this account and settings. So anytime that you would change any of the business information in account and settings, that's going to also push into the business network. So let me share with you a scenario where I have got a customer and it's my Rock Castle connection. So here's my link, and you can see that we're connected because of this little icon. And because that we're connected, if I come over here and I create a brand new invoice, and I say it's for whatever types of services, I'm just going to create a dollar amount and then save and send. Now, because there is this connection that we have, if I'm over inside of the other QuickBooks file, which is here, then I can refresh and I'm going to be able to see my invoices that have been sent over. So it says I've got 3. If I went over into view these bills, I can see the invoice that I just sent over imported as a bill, and then I can come through and I can code it. So I can put in any type of description. I could put in, you know, what is it that we were doing, whatever types of account that needs to be associated with. I can even make it billable to a customer. I can even split my lines, or I can just save and close. And in this case, I don't need a class. And then I would be able to move directly over into my pay bills screen. And here I would be able to see that bill payment. And from what you just shared, Murph, it sounds like there would be an option coming that might allow us to transfer dollars directly between our business network.
Yes, as I understand, it's going to be between, at least initially, between one QuickBooks account and another QuickBooks account, and then potentially between envelopes in one QuickBooks account and another QuickBooks account. And one of those envelopes might be a barter type envelope to track value, segregated.
That's interesting. I mean, I wonder if it's going to be tied to other features like QuickBooks checking. I'm just guessing. I don't really know. It seems like there could be a tie.
Yeah, that.
So with the slides, this is just walking you through everything that we just did. What I do want to share with you is the QuickBooks payment. So I'm going to move on because I want to make sure I have a chance to share with you some of these other new updates. So with QuickBooks payments, many of you are already familiar with, you know, when to use it, why to use it, but there is, let me see, there we go. There is new training that is going to take you through these details. So what are the benefits? What does it look like whenever you're getting started? What does the Go Payments app look like? I know that many of you are familiar with the QuickBooks Online app, but there is a separate Go Payments app. And inside that app, it does have different functionality. So when you go to set up, you do use your regular QuickBooks Online credentials, and it'll walk you through Bluetooth and enabling. And then inside of the Go Payments app, there's different icons than what we're used to in QuickBooks Online. So there's a couple of nuances here. And if you want to be able to, for example, do what they call a quick invoice, you're not going to be able to pull in the account that you want to tie that invoice to. You can create the invoice while you're in the Go Payments app, but then later on, you would want to go back over into QuickBooks Online and you would want to adjust that account, because using the Go Payments app to create this quick invoice is going to tie it to a generic Go Payments account. There's a couple of other things that whenever you're using instant deposits, There's a fee for it, but if you're using QuickBooks Checking, again, time back to QuickBooks Checking, there's not a fee. Many of you are already familiar with how to create a sales receipt, but something that is new is the enable auto pay. What I'm hearing is that people are kind of sometimes confused how to get auto pay started. So if you are somebody who has Go Payments or QuickBooks Payments and you're wanting to enable the auto pay, the only thing you have to do is start with a reoccurring transaction. So auto pay is enabled through using the reoccurring transactions inside of QuickBooks. So once you create a brand new reoccurring transaction and you send over the email for your customer, what it looks like for them is that they have a little button that they can say they want to set up auto pay. And then once they have the auto pay information added, then they're able to not need to open up these invoices every single time. Instead, they've authorized all invoices to use the payment information that they put in. So one of the differences here with auto pay is you as the provider never have to see the customer's bank information. So that's one of the benefits for security, is that you don't have to have access to bank or credit card details. So some of you might do sales receipts because you do have the customer payment information. But if you've got a customer who doesn't want to share those details with you, here's a way for you to still be able to cut down on some of the bookkeeping because you're using the auto pay and your people are putting the information automatically. There's also new training that's going to go through what are some of the benefits of QuickBooks Payments, which includes the automated bookkeeping. So when you're using QuickBooks Payments and there is a payment that is received, then there will be a posting to the accounts receivable, then to undeposited funds, and then ultimately whenever that deposit has cleared as a batch, then QuickBooks will actually create that batch deposit for you. You will also see it over in the bank register. There's a piece that is often missed. There's a expense transaction. So if you are using QuickBooks Payments and you're thinking about the way that the fees are collected, you know that it's on a per transaction basis, but it's like, how does that get captured? And that expense is actually posted automatically if you are using QuickBooks Payments. And then you would actually even see that bank feed match over inside of QuickBooks for both the deposit total and then also the fee.